Well, we'd like to call the meeting to order, and thank you very much for your attendance and welcome. Call for apologies. Councillor Marilyn Dixon, the only one.
Oh, what is that?
OAM. Hello, she's been turned face down now. She's not here. Somebody like to move that we accept that apology from Councillor Dixon, Councillor Egan, Councillor Galvin. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those no carried. Somebody like to move the recommendation that the minutes of the previous meeting be confirmed as read. So Councillor, I've got Councillor Matthews first, then Councillor D. Carlton. Put the motion. Those in favour say aye. Aye. No. Against, there'll be a presentation, but they're not here. I'm not sure when they're coming, so we'll just stop them from the doctors in Morialda. We'll just stop the meeting when we can and have plans. A call now for declarations of interest, gifts received and conflicts of interest. Nothing to declare. We have a couple of additional late items. That the report regarding the Bingra sewer tender and the comprehensive quarterly review report. Would somebody move that we accept them under the agenda? Councillor Galvin and Councillor Smith. Put that motion. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Okay. Okay, so we go on to 7.1 committee meetings recommendation. Would somebody like to move that 7.1 to 7.3 be adopted?
It's actually 6 in ours. It's 6, yeah.
What is it?
It got changed because of the late item.
Oh, I see.
But it's only the committee meetings recommendation.
Yes, that's
6.1 or 7.1.
okay. You move that way, Councillor Egan. We'll second that. Councillor Galvin, now, is there any discussion on this? Anyone have anything they missed last fortnight? No? All right. I'll put the motion. Those in favour say aye. No carried. Got to try and make it stretch out the more too. Councillor reports.
7.2.
7.2.
6.2 or 7.2. The investment and rates collection report.
Oh, okay. I thought we just did all that. Oh, no, this is a, yeah, I get you. Right. 7.2 then, investment rates collection. Helen.
So that's just a standard report. If anyone has any questions, interest rates are slowly going up. They were at 3.05. We've just reinvested yesterday at 3.25. So they're slowly. We're just doing a 30-day rollover at the moment so that we can grab, as soon as it goes up, we can grab that higher interest rate. And it's no better to lock it in for 6 months at that rate anyway.
The bird will be on the other foot soon, though, when we start these projects and you get halfway through and you have to borrow to finish them.
So that's at the moment we're looking at that. So T Corp have opened up their borrowing again to all councils.
Okay.
So we're going to see what hoops we have to try and jump through again to try and get that funding. Alex and I spoke the other day and we're looking at about $4 million to borrow.
So T Corp, you think will let us in?
Well, the press release they put out was that it's been open to all councils now. So you still have to be financially sustainable, but it is open to all councils.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll try through NAB and Regional Australia Bank as well and see what we can do.
Can you lock that interest in? Like, can council do that, or they got to just?
No, so when we borrow, it'll be locked in at a rate.
If we got it now, what interest rate?
I couldn't tell you through T Corp what the interest rates are. They're very. They put out press releases, and it's a long way down the track before they give you too much information.
Generally, to lock a loan in, it costs you 1.5% or something.
Yeah. And so the plan is, though, it's the $4 million is really only to cover the cash we're going to be missing from concurrent jobs happening. So even if we borrow it for the 15 years, we'll have it paid back within hopefully 5 or 6. So it won't cost us the full cost of the original loan.
They'll have to make sure there's no penalty.
Yes. Yeah.
Alan, you might tell people, the councillors, about that fellow who's doing
debt collecting conversation.
Because he's going to front people, isn't he?
Well, I've had contact last night from people wanting to know if he was the real deal or not, because he dropped into people's houses looking for the neighbour who
Yes.
he was trying to get. So
Yes.
you'll get calls.
Well,
So,
I think we paid.
yeah, you mightn't. So he is, Graham just did send an email yesterday to our,
He's a debt collector agency.
so he's the new company that we've gone with that does the early intervention stuff.
He's a delightful person.
Yeah, so he was in town earlier in the week and had a meeting with council, some of the staff to go through it. So he's now going around. We've sent out letters, and the people that have failed to respond to those letters and contact them to make arrangements, they're now door knocking, trying to do everything they can to get these people into a position where they're on a plan,
Yes.
that they're not going to have further fees added. Because once people get in and lock themselves into a payment plan, we stop all interest. We don't stop interest. We stop any further debt recovery fees and stuff like that. So
We sometimes use the interest as a carrot to get them
Yes.
to continue paying. If they continue to pay, we often will
yes,
write off interest.
Yeah. So that sounds a lot better now. Then he'll go and offer them a.
yeah. So he just wants to sit down, and have a couple with them, and go, you haven't responded to the letters. The next step is full debt recovery, which is thousands of dollars worth of fees, and then the sheriff, and that all gets put on the person.
And the sale of property, if it's.
Yes.
If it's
So that will be next month. We'll have a report. They've also done working on the list of sale for unpaid rates. So next council meeting, we will have a list of properties that can potentially go up for
Right.
sale.
Apart from that, the other ones that he'll be seeing, there's not many, is there?
I don't know exact numbers.
Okay.
I can find out how many he is door knocking while he's here.
These are the people that have completely ignored all our requests.
Yeah, well, that's why I was saying there wouldn't be many of them, surely.
I don't think so, because our collection
Well,
rates
you
are
look at this
high.
graph, it's,
Yeah, it's always friends as well.
it's fantastic.
Yeah.
The graph's exactly the same as last year.
So we're hoping that generally the people that are getting door knocked are people that have probably ignored us for a very long time. So hopefully this will give them a bit of comfort to talk to someone who's not in the community and get on an arrangement so that they can get off that list. And
What happens when they've left town, I suppose you can find them somehow.
we track,
Yeah.
Tracy Newby used to track them down. We now use these people, and they are very good at tracking people down.
The feedback I got last night was he's asking questions of the neighbours about the people that he's looking for in a very pleasant way. And when the neighbours ask him questions about who he is, he says, I'm working for the council, and he's not familiar to anyone. So
Yeah.
he's doing a great job.
Yeah.
And they thought that he was dodgy because he wouldn't disclose any
Yeah.
confidential information at all. So he's very good at what he does.
He's a lovely, he's
Richard.
Richard.
So
He's not liable to, like, when these sort of things happen, nobody's liable to punch him out or pull a gun on him or anything
I
like
can't imagine. He's very nice. You'd be hard pressed to probably.
that. No, you've got to be serious, because that's what happened
He's very nice. We don't shoot very
That's
nice.
what happened to that fella in wherever, and
we don't shoot very nice people.
no, I know, but you know what I'm trying to say?
And
That
he
it's not
does,
gonna be-
yeah.
Because that did happen, not in Bingara, but it did happen
I'm
somewhere.
sure they've got other staff members they could send up.
What if he's eliminated?
He might know how to.
This is recorded this week.
But
I'm
he
being
is,
serious, Catherine.
He's one of those people, I think
They're
you
not laughing at you.
have a conversation with him, by the end of it, he'll know everything about you
Okay.
in the most pleasant and
Very
unnerving
nice
way.
of them.
he's got the gift of the gab. Like, he can talk people down, and I think
It was stunning, Max.
he's done it in much bigger places. So it, yeah. I think if things escalated, he'd very quickly get out of there. Because he does it for a lot of big accounts.
So he could carry guns.
We're getting out of hand, I think.
Do you have any other
Yeah,
questions?
we need to just closing this up.
You will hear about this person, that's why I thought Helen should
Yeah.
tell you.
No, I think we should know about it.
Yeah.
So, well, council has had a few phone calls from people asking, and we did have a lot of questions because it was a changeover. All the new letters came out with their details on it, and it was also the same thing. People were wondering why it wasn't council anymore, even though we had gone to the trouble of letting people know that we were changing.
I think people are that worried about scammers and everything, that everyone's up, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
I've got one here I've got to ask you about, but on the thing is, people have been.
Yeah.
Helen, you have to explain to me the discretionary general cash fund.
So that's what we have left after we put all our restrictions in of all the funds that we currently hold.
So what about the houses we sell?
Well, it got restricted, internally restricted.
But unfortunately, with all,
It's part of our discretionary fund, that's all. I thought it was way bigger than that, that's all.
well, at the moment, because of the latency of us having to pay for so much grant funded works and having the money come in to reimburse us for those costs, it's just a bit of a seesaw at the
Oh, I
moment.
see, that's been used, but it'll
Yeah.
be replaced, okay.
So then that will go back in and this will look better.
Yes, so that's
That's what I was worried.
Yeah, so once we borrow this $4 million, our cash will look really good for a while. But we did work it out, wasn't it, that at any point in time, it was over $2 million that we would be out of pocket.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I mean, and up to 4 million. Just the County Boundary Road project, the way the milestones are set up with that, we build up to $1 million of money that's owing to us by the federal government, and then we can claim for that $1 million. So just in that one project.
How long is the difference? What's the time difference there? How quick are they?
Well, it can be a turnaround in 3 or 4 weeks. It can be a turnaround, as we saw with the final payment for the bypass of 6 months.
That's right.
Yep.
But this discretionary fund is over $1 million, isn't it?
Not, that's what it is currently.
No, but when it's replenished.
Yeah, we go over that, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's just, it's all the grant funding. Like we had to order the Uniplan homes that are.
Yeah, no, I'm going to have a problem with it. I just want.
And then once we get that grant money, that will
So
go
that's what
back
we
in.
paid for?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
They're not fiddling the bush.
No, Jeff.
Not shifting.
I knew that way on a trip plan.
That's something we want on record.
That's good on record, yeah.
Point being recorded.
What did you put in the coffee this morning?
No, but we want to put something in the coffee.
So that, would somebody like to move the adoption of that report? So move, Mr Mayor. Seconded, Councillor Carlton, seconded, Jeff. Councillor Smith, those in favour, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Property investment, oh, this is the big one. No. Quarterly review, this is it. Quarterly review, huh?
Let me just get it right in.
No, I'll show you where it is. So we saved it. All right.
Questions on this table, I can't see it.
So then you go in and it's.
Yeah, just see on top of that back. I'm trying to get right to the top.
No. Did you save the number out of that?
Dumb question.
Did you save quarterly review in there? No, so go back to your emails and save it in there.
So there weren't a lot of major changes in the report. It was just.
Can you give that to David, probably?
So the biggest plus side of the budget is the NARU funding. So with the changes in the way that the facility is funded, there's a huge increase in the user fees and charges. And NARU was also successful in getting that grant. So that helped the budget. The Gravesend water treatment plant had capital grant funding come in or budgeted for. And then employee costs, the only real increase in the wages was the casual and overtime wages, which we expect anyway.
Well, that'll be covered by the work.
Yeah.
Helen, what I can't understand is you've got the original budget for. Oh, wait a minute, that's not it. No, I can't see it. It was rates, and there was a difference in the actual to the budget. Well, that's it, rates and annual charges.
Yeah.
11.2, and 11.24 and the projected result is 11.28, which is more.
Yep. So there was a budget adjustment put in for $24,000. Since that budget was done, we've actually had $11.3 million raised in rates. So that will go through as a March quarterly review.
Is that just the general increase or 0.7% or what is it?
So that's when we did the forecasting, and then
Yeah.
6 months worth of SUP notices and changes and all that sort of stuff on what we can rate. That's what we've been able to rate at the 31st of March.
So where's the increase come from? It's more than 0.7. Is it water or something, isn't it?
No, that would just be with the different assessments. If there were new assessments put on that became rateable.
Oh,
There's
is there that much?
it's there's a long time between that $11.2 million that was the original budget that was forecast back in April
Yeah.
last
Last
year,
year and now.
and then you have all the changes that come through in all that time.
Yeah.
But and it's a good thing. Like we have actually raised $11.3 million in rates.
Right. I just wanted you to know I read it. Is there any other questions on the quarterly review statement?
Still use the fees and charges just because we wouldn't have the staff available to do the outside jobs, I suppose. Is it?
So
Why that's not getting that usage?
yeah, and the only other thing I'd like to highlight that the consultancies in one of the last pages of that report, that's 390, that was to do with the drought communities, the Armidale, UNE. That's why that's so high.
fully funded.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you don't get the other side of it. They don't want you to tell you what income matches to it. You've just got to put in what you've spent. So that's why that is so high.
The depreciation figure is going to be frightening, isn't it, after we seal these roads?
Yeah, it's an unfortunate consequence, but as you're aware, overall it's still a positive sealed road.
It can't be held to ransom for
No.
low depreciation, I don't believe it. But it is a problem.
You can always get forced to come up and come and send it.
Yeah, that's
Forms.
right. Anything else there? Do you have anything, Helen, you want to point out?
No, we'll do another thorough look now that we've reached the 6 month mark for the March quarterly review to make sure everyone does have the projects that are going to get completed this financial year in the March one. So we've got a fair idea at the March quarterly review where we're going to end up. It's just that we just keep getting money. So it's
It's a terrible problem.
it makes things difficult because depending on timelines that come in with each new lot of funding, involves
I'm
shuffling.
having trouble quitting now.
Yeah.
That's fair. I hope that they will extend the deadline on some of this grant money because
It's taking up almost all of Graham's time just chasing up because even when the people change, I know one of our projects we did, they changed the fence that they were using and that involved an entire change of scope because the fence went from one sort of fence to another. So it's
all that red tape costs us.
Yes. It does. It's a lot of time being spent and then having to acquit it all. And some need 3 signatures on it. Some need stat decks. Some need just a simple signature. It's all the funding bodies are different, and
But meanwhile, it's costing us to do it.
yes.
It's such an exciting time to be in local government to be able to make a difference. Like you're doing.
Well, it is, and I was speaking to the general manager at Gunnedah, and he said, "Oh, I hope we don't get any more grants."
You'd hear that.
I didn't ever think I'd do that, but it is. It's an incredible time. We've got an incredible amount of money to.
And it is, and it's making sure that money that we do get is spent on worthwhile projects that are going to actually benefit the community, and we don't go down a rabbit hole and doing stuff that
I don't think that'll ever happen.
necessary.
No.
Yeah.
Those of you who are talking about retiring, it's certainly a lovely time to be going out.
It's going to be a lovely portfolio that gets put together
Yeah.
for the end of term report next
We'll
year.
go and leave the depreciation behind us. Anyway,
The officers'
thank you very
recommendation.
much, Councillor Egan. And the seconder, Councillor Galvin. With the motion, those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Right. Hang on, where are we? The,
Well,
oh, have I
you
got,
actually, you could have more too.
What we scribble.
No, they
Do you want to do council report?
yeah, council report.
Oh, yeah.
We'll do that. I think we'll do that. I'll go the other way this time. Councillor Matthews, you'd like to kick off with the council reports?
Sure. I've had a complaint from somebody about, and it's been raised before, about dog shit at 16th Fraser Street. Apparently there's piles of it and the smell was pretty offensive. So the neighbour asked me to bring that up. I guess that's really just to point out to our officials that there's a problem there.
Is it just in the actual someone's yard, or is it the dog going and doing it in other people?
It's in the yard.
The dog probably didn't get something.
I've been and had a look and it's just piles of dog poo everywhere.
Oh.
Pretty horrible. On the subject of automatic external defibrillators, we at the op shop have decided to put one, and I thought the council might be interested to know that we've been able to buy an alarmed strobe box to put it in, so that if anyone opens the box to take it out, an alarm sounds and a flashing light goes. And I think that's sort of a recommendation I might make to council when they put the things outside. $340. You know, it's pretty small expense. So we're going to put that on the outside wall of the op shop.
The biggest thing that'll be getting them all re-battery, the machines on it.
Yeah,
We
it's
need to do
$240 to get new batteries and a new set of pads for the. We're buying the same AED as the council's got.
And is that every 2 years, do you say?
4
years.
Yeah. Just a comment on Adam Marshall's big win for medical services. I think it's unlikely to affect Bingara. I don't know about Warrialda, but because I'm only there part-time to supervise, that it would need to be a fairly senior registrar that went into that job. So first year registrars need to be supervised one-on-one all the time. It's not till they get to their third year that they can do with remote supervision. So I'm not sure how that seems to be touted as the solution to all the problems around, but it looks to me to be a solution for large regional cities, not for smaller places.
Could be a solution for an election result for one member.
And finally, we've had some fairly disparaging comments passed about the clinic. The clinic mainly emanated from the hospital.
You mean the medical centre?
Yeah, the medical centre. Just to draw your attention to the fact that sort of negativity is being spread.
Well, that's from the hospital.
I find gossip, whatever you want to call it. People are being negative.
That's not good.
Don't go to the clinic, they'll kill you. And besides, it's cheaper to come to the hospital.
So now I know where it's going.
Wow.
So I'll talk a bit more about that too.
Okay. Right,
That's all. That's me.
Yeah, Councillor Moore.
Yeah, just one thing. Jeff was there. We had a pretty big fire the other night out there at Fred's. Yeah, got about 1,500 acres of grass country. It was pretty good, pretty inaccessible. But what I'd like to say, I sent an email to Alex regarding thanking the council for the use of the grader. Whatever they supplied the other night, that was really good. The other one was the hall down here. Looks like every time people use it down the back there, it's just a hell of a mess. The CWA, when they cleaned it up the other day, pretty well, and I was just complaining about what it is and that. Yeah, so that's about all I've got.
Down in the kitchen area.
Yeah.
Oh, down the bottom.
Yeah, down the bottom.
Do you think it's untidy because it's rarely used, like the dust and things?
Yeah.
I can't.
But I just, but they were just, she sent Lana Hockley sent me some pictures, but You know, there's cobwebs hanging off the windows and all that sort of stuff, so you probably know that anyway.
That's what they're paying.
It's because it's a place that's rarely used, and to constantly clean it would be a huge cost.
Yeah.
And you know, the spiders that come back before it was used again.
I mean, we virtually make these things so cheap.
Yeah.
So people will use them and then they come and whinge.
Whinge,
about it. We have real trouble finding cleaners in Warialda.
Yeah.
In fact, there's only at the moment, I think we only got one cleaner. And that person has got an amazing number of buildings that they're supposed to clean. And I've got to say, Councillor Moore, I haven't got too much time for whinges.
Yeah, no, that's all right. Just brought it up. I can tell them I brought it up, that's all.
Okay, Councillor Smith.
Just a couple of things. One thing that Peter Hancock mentioned to me there a while ago about the men's, and I don't know whether the council received a letter, they were going to send it. The men's shed was sort of looking for possibly a grant to put some sort of a dust extractor in the shed up here. And they were going to.
We haven't heard from them, and we would certainly support any grant application.
Yeah, well, I said, well, I think we would. They're doing a bit more. I think it's mainly woodwork there, where the dust accumulates there, and they were done. And I just said, well, I'd certainly bring it up. But
Who's the contact person? Is that
Peter Hancock? And I don't know whether Peter's actually in the
I've never heard of you.
There was a guy.
Garth would be, yeah. Possibly then.
He actually rang me this week about another matter, and he said the men's shed's bigger than it's ever been, and it's really doing well, which is good to hear.
Great thing to hear.
Well, I mean, they do a lot around the community, and I thought, well, surely we can help them a bit. I don't have sort of money, but he was going to find out a bit more, so I'll try and see Peter and just tell him to keep on it. The other one, I just noticed particularly on the way in from the northern side there, where where we've cleared, where the fire break's been cleared. Yeah. I noticed, and it happens everywhere, a fair few other suckers and stuff coming up. I don't know whether we can get, the sooner we do it, probably the cheaper.
Happy to speak to that. We have been speaking with RFS. We have some hazard reduction money that's earmarked for maintenance of that asset protection zone, and typically that is to be expended on triggering, mulching, that sort of thing. So we're in talks with them at the moment whether we can use that money for spraying. We expect that they'll approve it, but we just got to get through that hoop first. And as soon as we've done that,
we see it all the time out there where we just got to keep plugging away with grays on it. And the sooner you do it, the cheaper it's going to be. Once they get up a bit, you use them 3 times as much.
Councillor Moore had offered to do it himself, but
yeah, well,
I just haven't had time yet.
I'm going to say I
But
I've been getting an email. No B4.
Yes.
Yeah,
What's the go with that?
Join the club. Just
Everyone's getting it.
nothing is mum shine.
No Before is a program we use to send out training phishing emails, so you can learn what is a phishing email, what to look out for, and not to click on them. So I'd say that you've clicked on one, and now you're enrolled in training by default.
So I haven't clicked on it for that reason.
Phishing email.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not malicious.
But
It's by us.
So you're saying to click on it and go with it.
Yeah, well, that's training. It's automatically enrolled.
So it's free.
Really for staff, so
You blokes have been.
yeah, it's us. That's right.
No, that's all right. It's been coming up for the last month, and
Click on it and go
They make us all
I didn't
know.
want to do it.
I think you make us all know. We just about delete every email.
It is effective.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was waiting whether it was a con or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty well it. Has Mick Davis, has he got that place on the block or?
The industrial block's for sale.
clearing sale.
Yeah, no, I know that, but the industrial block's been for sale quite a while. He contacted me and said, we want to buy it back. And I said, how much? And I think he wanted 90,000 for it. They got it for 20.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of grubbing and growing on it.
It is,
Anyway, no, that'll do me. I know.
Gus, go on.
couple of things. As you are all aware, we've got grazing on the Glider coming up on the 18th of March, which is all coming together pretty well. And we've got the stalls we'll shut off from the corner of the Westpac right down to the bottom near the river, and we'll have stalls there from 9:30 till 1:30, and then from 9:30 till 1, sorry. Then we'll continue on to the junction with our new stage and a band where people bring their chairs, and we have stalls for the afternoon till 6 o'clock. Now that weekend is also the big Greek festival.
In Mingrachua, it says. They're advertising it.
Are they?
Yeah.
That's the Greek people.
So I don't know, I don't know where that is.
No, either do I. And we have had no contact with them either.
No, I know.
So they're sort of doing it. But my major concern is this was a really successful event 2 years ago. Prior to didn't have it last year because of COVID. And we had lots of food stalls. This year we have the Roxy. Everyone will be aware that the Roxy Cafe is closing once again on Sunday at 2 p.m. Couple of questions about that. Can we have someone get onto that ASAP and do some plans so that we can have packages to hand out on the day to give when these Greek people come through? There might be interested, there might not. Instead of saying, yes, we'll get back to you or something like that, have them ready to go and say, this would be a good thing.
What are you talking about? Somebody taking
Business package.
A business package to take over the Roxy.
Okay.
I mean, it's failed so many times. I can't see why, but anyway. Can we have that? And the other thing, if we can find somebody, maybe if we approach, when I find someone to contact from the Greek festival, if they want to come in and run the cafe for the day, because apparently they've got a function there that night, can they hire the cafe for the day? Because there's not going to be anyone, just to give us another food store.
That would be fine.
Like, we're going to be, if we're going to have all these people in town.
Where's their function in the theatre, isn't it?
Apparently, yeah. I don't know
very much about it.
We don't know very much of people. Yeah, we don't know. I think they're bringing from my understanding, they're bringing a caterer to do it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, that's fine, both those things.
Yeah, but we just need to have that package ready to go for people interested. And maybe if we can have a stall out the front of the Roxy on the day for all these visitors saying, hey, this beautiful building is available. If somebody can run a stall out there and hand out these packages.
Do you know if it's the Ethereum Society or is it just?
Yes.
It is?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I've been out before.
Yeah.
They're going to be the same as that thing we had there about 10 years ago. Similar.
Actually called back to Bingra, I believe.
Sorry?
I think it's actually called back to Bingra because they want to replicate what happened. I think it was 2016.
Yeah.
It's very successful. So yeah, and they're promoted to Harley.
Yeah. So we just need.
I just make an economist there as a dancer. I still remember that name.
The other thing is I've been on when we spoke with Vision 2020 about they're going to, as we spoke about, Max, they're going to do things a different way now with their different committees. So we're sort of meeting with them, the business committee as well. I was unable to get to the meeting the other night, but they've got some money there. And my aim, which was last year, but because of COVID it didn't happen, was to get, we had an amazing speaker called Justin Herald come to Warialda a few years ago. Now, I've been in contact with him and he's happy to come to Bingra. He's going to charge us the same price that he charged when he came to Warialda to speak. He's happy to do a day with the, happy to fit in with the school for the same and do a speech with the school and then do a speech. And I wondered whether you'd like him, if somehow we can work it in to do a workshop with your staff, with the staff as well.
We're doing one with Darren Flanagan.
Yeah.
Which is only on the 31st.
Yeah, okay.
No, probably
That's
wouldn't.
up here.
Probably wouldn't, would you? Would you do two in the month?
No, it's not going to be, we haven't got a date yet.
Oh,
When
I
it's-
thought you were doing on in conjunction with this.
No, completely different subject, sorry.
Yes, it would be, we could facilitate something, whether it's a big all of staff or just a select group.
Yeah, it's going to be a completely different
He's
topic.
very good. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can follow up on that.
Yeah,
You'll
okay.
just talk to me.
I'll talk to Leah about that. And have we heard any more on the caravan park amenities? Not amenities, house,
Well, what do you mean?
the power and,
Oh, yeah, well, the Crown's people, the Crown Lands have now approved the work, and I think it might be going to happen on the 5th of March. But
yeah,
I'll check that after that's.
So far away.
it's good. Back to, sorry.
And also the amenities bill will be arriving as well.
Oh, great. Great, yeah, very good. Back to Justin Herald, John. I've got to get back to him with some dates, so I'm going to I'll work it out with Leah, and I don't want to do it at the same time when you've got, because that's silly. We want to support each other. But yeah, later on down in the year, and we can have him come when it works. He's in Yeppoon at the moment, but he's more than happy to come back. I think it was $5,000 plus GST, but it was also
The accommodation.
the accommodation, and we paid for an airfare for him before. He lives at the Gold Coast, so just so much kilometre, but yeah.
Right.
And if I can get him to go in the area as well, like out of our shire, another shire, it might be cheaper if I can arrange that.
So much on that weekend of the 18th of March.
There's a Nauru thing on as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's his happen day, is it? Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and then there's the Gravesend. It worked in a bad weekend, but I don't know how that happened. We did
Had
put
it
it,
booked for a long time.
we had it booked because we had to spend that money before the 23rd of March.
I see there's a quilt and craft show in Bingo, which is awesome.
Yeah, I think that will all complement each other.
Be a good day in Bingo.
Yeah,
Okay, you finished it?
yes, thank you.
Councillor Felton? No. Councillor Egan?
Oh, Tiffany's covered most of mine. I just want to ask, did we get compensated for putting our doses and graders in the fire?
Yes.
It was a
Was it
section.
section, was it?
Oh, sorry, no, in that particular one, that wasn't a section 44.
No, sorry.
It
Right.
wasn't a section 44.
Right.
And to thank the fellows that sprayed the river for the Ngurubur, they only did the southern side. It would be good to see those Nguruburs sprayed all the way down for some, even where the campers, the motorhomers are, they're this high. And if they're done now before they seed out,
You haven't got much time. I'll soon
No,
be
they
seeing.
we got them on this side, but I thought we'd do the whole lot, but we didn't, and I think it just needs looking at.
Our people do that. Do they, the weeds, fellas?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. I think it's a good idea.
We're down one weedy at the moment. I think.
Okay. Well, they're like hairs on a cat's back,
Yeah.
and they're all up Halls Creek and everywhere.
Yeah.
First rain, we're just perpetuating it. So that's all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome, Lyndon. Would you like to have a report? You have any report?
Just the Inland Rail's coming to an end up in the northern end.
Yeah.
And we're just going to make sure the signs off on it well. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I think there'll be a report on that, I hope, Alex will. But anyway, it sounds like you got a fair result yesterday. It's good. Yeah. Okay, well, I've got.
John, just before, can I just, about those graders there we had out the other night, it was hell of a rough, but it's rough on them, but it did save. I was backing up what Curly said. It would have, without them, it could have gone anywhere.
The best way to fight a fire, great.
Yeah. But,
2 graders, you get double the width.
Was it lightning that started it?
I think so, yeah.
And it started lightning on Sunday afternoon. It didn't really get going till Monday afternoon.
Yeah. I was away. I didn't even know that. Right. Oh, well, I've got a little bit. Firstly, the Darren Flanagan thing on 31st of March. Please promote it wherever you can. It'll be a big waste of money if we can't get a crowd there. And Curly, I got a message. Rotary's going to do the bar for that.
Yeah.
And the licence.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for that. That's wonderful. Now, Max and I have been away this week. First of all, local government New South Wales put on a sort of pre-election day, and then it was followed yesterday, or day before yesterday now, by the country mayors put on a similar thing where we were able to interview, listen to and interview candidates from all the parties pretty much. It was pretty good. The second day was not quite as good because we heard it all again from some of the ones, exactly the same talk. But I've got a few notes. I'll just go through them. I'm not sure whether this is Australia or New South Wales, Max. It says agriculture is projected to be worth 50 billion by 2030.
Oh, that was New South Wales.
Well, I thought it was New South Wales. Yeah,
Have to be.
yeah. And they're saying 180,000 people have moved to the regions over the past 5 years. Mark Latham is a bloke that would be good for agriculture if he ever got power. He never will. But first of all, he was on about schools, and you would have seen we're failing in this side of the range on the NAPLAN test, and Walgett was the worst school in the state. And of course, I assume talking to the Walgett mayor afterwards, he said that they need, and I've got a wife that's on about this, they need to change to direct instruction instead of this airy-fairy stuff. We have the worst school academic results in the world, he said.
You should point out Mark Latham's also the chair of the Upper House Education Committee. So it's like he's got access to
the figures. He's done some research, yeah.
He was by far the best speaker.
He was very positive.
The Mark Latham.
Mark Latham, yeah.
I don't
what's the name party?
One nation.
One nation.
Yeah, extraordinary.
And on the energy crisis, he said New South Wales. Now, this is an interesting statistic. How we get, I don't want to get involved politically, but we got all worked up about the ozone layer. New South Wales has 0.4% of the international emissions. He bagged the net zero target, and he said that if we complied with that net zero target, the difference we would make over a century would be 0.0055%. That's Australia. So we do get carried away.
That's from the chief scientist too.
Yeah. So he opposes the clean energy program. He was talking about green Matt King. He said that the basics index that we build houses on costs an extra $70,000 a house. That's what it costs us. That's what he said. He's opposed to environmental flows in the Murray-Darling Basin. He said we should free up tree clearing. He referred to koalas. They're overstated. Can't read my writing there. That's right. No, it's Alison Waters from the Animal Justice Party. And all I got from her was she said that animals need a political voice.
Animals need a what?
A political voice. So I was going to nominate my dog because he's very vocal.
Well, Toby and speak to him.
Yeah, and the other thing I've been wondering what it was, that the state debt is $182 billion. So I thought it might have been higher than that.
Yeah, it was actually quite interesting because we had the deputy premier there representing the premier and Alison
Atchison,
yeah, for the Labor Party, but they spent their time bagging the other, like Labor was bagging the Libs and the Libs were bagging Labor. And, like the others were the ones who were actually talking about issues.
Policy, yeah. Jenny Aitchison, who is the Shadow Minister of Regional Roads and Transport and was representing the Labor Party, was very aggressive, wasn't she? Yeah. She was very aggressive.
Was there any commitment from the opposition in line with what the current government's committed? I think there's $1 billion in infrastructure and 500 million of that is continuation of fixing local roads. Was there any similar commitment from?
No, she kept saying that announcement will be made closer to the election.
No, and it was interesting that when they sold the the Snowy Mountain scheme, or when they sold to the government and they got all that money was allocated for the bush. That was one of the deals. Anyway, the deputy premier made pointed out that a lot of the commitments that Labor are now making is coming out of that money.
So
It's
that's
not good.
energy program, isn't it? Where they-
Yeah, well, they're going to recreate some kind of state energy system.
Batteries.
Yeah. And,
Batteries.
so that money is going to be lost to the bush.
And now, you don't know if that's politics or not, they deny that.
That was a recording.
And Alex, you'll be interested in this, the take back of the roads, the 15,000 kilometre road, will not happen.
Similar advice from Transport.
Was it apparently an 8-year commitment?
Yeah, I'd heard the same thing, that they said it was going to be 8 years from the get-go, and 8 years is not up.
There was a long and projected statement from Sam Farabee about why it wouldn't happen. One of the reasons was he said if there's grant money outstanding on any of the roads, they can't legally do it. It has to be expended. I don't know that there's any money on the Ruxton, but
No.
I haven't heard of any.
Not in our show, anyway.
No.
The cynic in me thinks that makes that whole initiative a shot dark.
Yeah, it is. Although he did say there's been, I think, one road taken and maybe a couple more being asked before the election, but no, it's gone. I don't think
What if we wrote to them now really quickly and said that we have no outstanding funds on that road?
Well, we've only got a little tiny bit of the road and we don't know about the other bit. There's Tannerfield and Moree.
The feedback that I've been given from a Transport for New South Wales executive was that the legislative framework for how these roads would be maintained if they were transferred to the state government has still not been finalised in any way, and it would be quite a clumsy interface. When it comes to the management, we would probably be maintaining our own roads, but be paid by Transport to maintain them, and Transport would be creating the priorities like they do on our state road network. And to get from a place where there is no framework to do that to a framework to do that's quite a task.
The only thing it would do is take that depreciation off our book.
That's right.
Yeah. And speaking of that, there was a lot of debate about the Red Fleet. There's a lot of pressure being put on both sides, both parties. And, of course, it's the Auditor, no, not the Auditor General. Yes, it is. The Auditor General that's made the ruling. But I'd say watch this space. I think the amount of pressure that's been put on them, and of course the Labor candidate said they'd do something about it. Well, they'd look at it, I think they said. But it seems to me as though that might get a wind down the track, but I don't know how far down. It probably won't be in our time on council.
No, wait 8 years.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know that I've got any more riveting stuff that you haven't. Richard Colbrand spoke quite well, and he actually came and saw me after he spoke and said he wanted to come back up and talk to us. But I think if we do lose our doctors from Morella, we'll be talking to Richard Colbrand, all right? Yeah. He's a very nice bloke. And I can tell you that having an argument with somebody, it's like having a fight in the schoolyard. You know how when you have the fight, then you're the best mate with the bloke you're fighting afterwards. It's a bit like that with the Deputy Premier. Had a pretty big fight with him over amalgamation. Well, Max said he thought he nearly put his tongue down my throat when he saw me. But he was friendly, wasn't he?
John, was there any, because it's been pretty rough on social media recently about the 30 fire and rescue stations? Was there anything said about that?
I was going to talk about that. You probably know as much as I do, but Adam Marshall phoned me last week, I think, and he said he was very happy. And I said, well, that's good, Adam. What are you happy about? And he said, well, he had a guarantee from the Deputy Premier that the Bingham station will be retained.
Yeah, well, they've actually got ads out there for retained firefighters.
But what will happen if they lose the election? I don't know. And I had a reporter from the leader ring me yesterday and asking me what I knew. And I said, all I know is what Adam has said. And she said, well, they got word from fire and rescue that it wouldn't be retained. So I don't know the answer.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff on social media and I mean, I think the Fire and Rescue Union have become involved as well because they're quoting 30 stations to close.
30 now.
Yep.
Yeah. Right.
I wondered whether we can put on the Guida News as well as the Shire page and just put it out there how desperate, because I think there's a lot of the community that don't realise that we could lose the fire station, and put it out there and just say, look, well,
We will be recruiting.
we will be recruiting. We've got to do everything we can. Otherwise, your house could burn down while we're waiting
I think
for someone to come from Warrialda to put it out.
the important thing now is that we need 8 people to go and have a medical.
Yeah,
Or apply to have a medical, whether they'll get it or not's another thing.
yeah,
But at the moment, we haven't got 8 people, but we need to be working on that. 8 potential, I was going to call them volunteers, they're not, they're retained. That's the most important thing. That's the best way we can put pressure on fire and rescue.
yeah,
Because we had 5 and they didn't proceed with the medical.
yeah.
But if we say, all right, well, here's 5 or 8 or whatever we've got, what about it?
Yeah, but I also think we need to put it out there on social media seems to get to people. Put it out there how desperate we are, because I don't think people realise. And it can go on the Guida News page, and it can go.
It's already on there.
Oh, is it?
It's right up fair response.
Yeah.
Actually.
Thanks.
Sorry?
Well,
It's right up fair response.
Yep.
and the other, there's
How many?
you get dumb questions. This reporter said, well, what would be the consequence of the fire station closing? And I said, oh, well, they'd be serviced from Warrialda and it's 20 or 25 minutes to get there and a house burns down in 7.
Yeah.
That's the consequence.
Yeah.
How many would they have, like volunteers in? Or
They're paid. They're retired. Yeah.
They didn't. I don't know that they've even got 5 at this stage.
I think there was 3 that were approved for medical. And there's been
The Michael
2
Bones
others, I think,
is
that
another
have
one.
come and said, yes, they want to.
Well, that gives you
apply.
5. But initially, David,
They
2
thought-
years ago, they had 5.
Yeah, but there's also an extra one, I thought Colin said, from Bigger.
Right.
And he
Sorry,
was
one-
relocating from Orielda down
Yeah,
there.
one was going for move.
So he's already had his medical.
So there's, so that
And we're
gave
talking
6,
about
I
needing
think.
12.
Yeah.
In an ideal world, yeah. I think we should acknowledge Colin was very strong at that meeting.
He was. He was excellent.
He's very passionate.
I think it should be put out there, the more volunteers they can get or people they can get, the workload's a lot less. A lot of people, a lot of them would be thinking, oh, geez, I'm going to be left with the whole bloody lot of this.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
more, if they could get 15 people,
Yeah.
and get away with, say, 5, it means that every second fire you don't have to worry about.
Yeah, the thing is, they've got to have people there all the time. So you've only got 4, you can't do it because people go away.
Yeah.
And I know that Warrialda are looking for another 4 members.
Yeah.
You have to stress the fact that it's open to women as much as
Yeah.
to female.
Yeah, that's probably not considered, by the
No,
public.
I think
I'll be-
that needs to be stressed that females are.
out there, really.
Yeah, that's right. And then here's a bit of political guff. Greg Warren is the Shadow Minister for Local Government, Veterans Affairs in Western Sydney, and that's what worried me. When you put local government in Western Sydney in the one portfolio, you wonder where the money's going to go. He said he'll meet with councils to discuss. Rate pegging, pensioner rebate scheme will be part of the review. We're going to do a review. Ryan Park didn't have a hell of a lot to add for the healthcare. An independent fellow, Joe McGurr, is it?
He's from
Wagga, advocating for a rural and regional department in the government. Yeah, that's about all I've got. I can't read after that. So, writing's like that. Anyway, it was. I think it was worthwhile going to. And, there was a section there on community or housing. I think they said. I don't know where these figures come from. So I think it was 85,000 on the waiting list for a house that are actually homeless. And I think a lot of that is to do with the flood areas like Lismore. But I mentioned how we have something like 700 houses in our shire that are empty. And every rural shire would be the same with the amalgamation of farming land. But that seems to be, and I know how difficult it is. People really don't want to rent them, and a lot of them take a bit of money to bring them up to speed. But it is a resource that's out there. Whether people will even, whether it be a proposition even to move a house into a town. So I don't know. So there was a lot of talk about you can't get material, and one fellow from, where was he from, down the south somewhere, he said, I don't know, 180,000 hectares of pine have been burnt. All the timber frame's gone. Yeah. They're importing timber, of course. Yeah, that's it from me, mate. We'll go to morning tea, will we? So now we're back to business, people, and I ask for a motion to go into confidential session. Councillor Matthews, second Councillor Egan. We'll put that motion, those in favour say aye. Aye. Against, no, it's carried. I have a mover and a seconder that we go out of confidential session. I'll put that motion, those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against, carried. Now, Max, you give your report.
Mr Mayor, in relation to the regional waste collection processing tender evaluation, the actual committee resolution is confidential until Narrabri Shire Council makes its decision, because it relates to a tender going across 3 councils, Moree, Gwydir and Narrabri. In relation to the North and East Bingara pressure sewer extension, the resolution is that council accepts the construction tender from H2H Plumbing Proprietary Limited for $2,928,995.30. And the General Manager is authorised to sign off on the details of the contract, including the affixing of the Council's common seal if required. Further, that the Council accepts the product tender from Enviro One Services Proprietary Limited. The General Manager is authorised to sign off the details of the contract, including the affixing of the Council's common seal if required. Further, that the Council initiate an application for a sewerage fund loan for the expenditure, and that the repayments are spread across all sewer assessment holders.
Thank you. So I need a resolution now to accept those on our general meeting. Yeah, maybe not. Councillor Egan. Oh, I'll get Councillor Mulligan.
He's been gazumped.
You're only scratching your head, weren't you? I'll put the motion. I was here. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Against that, carried. That concludes the meeting. I thank you very much for your attendance, and I'll see you in a fortnight.